Mel Puu
Yeah.
is a big dude.
Yeah.
So he's using, even this paddle at 8 3/4, it seems a little bit wide when you look at the normal dimensions on other ones, 8 1/2 or so on, but the shape of this is different. You know, it only gets 8 3/4 at the bottom, and it goes to 8 inches and lower pretty quickly. Does that help it move through the water faster? Or?
Well, it's just easier on him. You know, Mel has probably good technique. He's a canoe paddler, exceptional canoe paddler. So he's going to already have that in place, which the better your technique, the more adhesion you get in the water. I don't want to go into paddle technique and stuff like that. Let's just, enough said that he's got good technique. The other thing is, you only need enough traction to get on the wave. Corral Jr. is another guy who uses my stuff. He's, like 6 or 7 time world champion one-man guy. And he told me something once that has always stuck with me. He says, I only need enough speed to get on the swell. So you trim the paddle as much as you can so that it's the smallest paddle you possibly can use. A big paddle fatigues you quite a bit. And that's the other thing about paddles. The paddle that you're fastest with at the 5-minute mark is not the paddle you're going to be fastest with after an hour or 2 hours. Once again, that's been one of the difficulties in obtaining data on what is the ultimate paddle, because the duration of the event dictates a lot of times what you need. Surfing tends to be stop-start, but guys go out for really long sessions, right? So I think that's why they're gravitating towards the smaller paddle. Maybe it feels small on the first stroke, but on the 10,000ths of the day, it's probably exactly right. No, probably earlier than that, but.
So with this new paddle, Mel's huge. What about smaller guys? So maybe guys, 190, 170.
It'll be fine. This isn't, paddles. I don't get too much into the fine tuning of a paddle and thinking that you're going to really find the ultimate thing. Everybody is different for one thing. I haven't been able to find any kind of data to support big guy, small guy, fit guy, out of shape guy, for what people like. Really, the only way to go out and find out if a paddle is right for you is to go out and try it. And that's where we offer demo programs through shops. Shops can purchase demos from us, and we like that. I ultimately, I'd like you to buy my paddles, but ultimately, we want people to be happy in the sport, to buy the right thing. So if it's one of my competitors and they're totally happy with it, that's good, because the main thing is they're out there promoting the sport, and that's good for all of us. If more surfers out there, well, if you're one of the surfers, you maybe don't want tons of guys in the lineup with you, but that's another issue.
So your shafts, I noticed. I really like this shaft. I told you it reminded me of my kayak paddle, my high-end kayak paddle.
Yeah.
And the weave, it just looks super nice, and it's still pretty light. So. Yeah,
it's a carbon shaft, and everything we make is proprietary in design. Basically, I design it with one of my workers, Jeff Hahn. I design the parts. Jeff tells me if we can make the part profitably, because sometimes us designer guys, we get kind of off the deep end. But what we did when we designed our shaft is one of the goals in mind was we made the basic assumption that surfers had the same size hands as guys who paddle canoes. So we didn't want a big bulky shaft. So we basically sized it to be the same size as our outrigger shafts. That put some constraints on in a strength design sense, because the bigger you make the shaft in diameter, the thinner you can make the walls to get the same amount of strength. So we had to find a way of engineering around this, because the size of our shaft, outside dimension. So everything that really happens in the shaft, if there's any magic, and we've actually only had 2 of these shafts break. That's like over 500 plus. Our breakage on our paddles, blades and shafts, is less than 1%, which we like. Like I said, where we went was we really did look at whitewater paddles, and my friends started a company called AT Paddles, and we really relied on them to help us with our layups.
Yeah, do you prefer oval shaft or round shaft?
Yeah, I prefer both. Depends on what you're trying to do. going with our whole theme, personal preference. Some guys like round, some guys like ovals. On this paddle, we needed to get additional strength in the paddle because it's such a long shaft. So we went with an oval because that was going to put more strength in the direction we needed, which is coming at the front of the paddle. On some of our full carbon paddles, we do a round shaft because what we're trying to do, those outrigger paddles, we're trying to introduce flex into the paddle. Once again, joint saving, that kind of stuff.
So I noticed